Well, we're being televised now.
It's not unusual that we televise executions, Mr. Wordsworth. Last year in the mass executions, we televised around the clock. 1,300 people were put to death in less than 6 hours.
Now drop and give me 20.
History teaches you nothing.
Yes.
On the contrary, history teaches us a great deal. We had predecessors, Mr. Wordsworth,
You mean like
who had the
Democrats?
beginnings of the right
What the
idea.
hell is
But their
supposed to,
era
you
was not one
moron?
of excess. It was simply not going far enough. Too many
You're kidding me.
undesirables were left around, and
this guy
undesirables
is the
eventually
real
form a
zero,
core of
that's
resistance.
It's worse than horrible because a zombie has no will of his own.
Don't
He
hassle the dead
sometimes
boy.
walking around blindly
Yeah,
with dead eyes, following orders, not knowing what they do, not caring.
Spend a lot of time with these folks.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented.
I'm beginning to smell a big fat commie rat.
I learned about roaches.
Incited the erection.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight...
All your little speeches, you're nothing but a common thief.
Corn Pop wasn't
I think he's in denial.
There we go, brother. There's a classic, an oldie but goodie, pulled from the archives. For
Dire
us to do our
Straits,
show tonight.
Dire Straits should be our opening there, brother. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's a good opening.
So go ahead, say it.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. One of our, what I don't know, like every other week show we can squeeze in this hectic time of stuff going on.
I see you have your uniform on, and I have my hat on. I have my conspiracy hat on. Go Sasquatch.
Yes, and I have my America First shirt, Hawaiian style shirt on.
Now you haven't done it for a while, but tube in check.
Nah,
I got my pants on. How about you, brother?
I got mine on.
Tubing.
I'm not getting up. I'm too tired.
No, I don't know that. It could be a tubing situation. That's I'm worried about that.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We're
This ain't CNN. We don't want anything happening. Okay, it's not CNN.
Yeah, no, thank God we're not CNN. We can confirm that we are not. Latest breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, this is not CNN.
And one of us at least has our pants on.
Yeah, at least one of us. But we don't know if John doctored that video or not.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I'm technically savvy enough to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, he completely is tech savvy enough that he could have. So, brother, we have on the docket tonight a little bit of an unusual show from our usual. It's a little departure, we might call it. We sometimes spend time planning, getting videos together, and working together on talking.
Endless hours of mission prep. And
yes,
right,
prep
and meetings and discussions.
But you know what? We're professionals at this. We've been doing this for 20 years now, John. Plus,
yeah.
We don't need no stinking prep. We can just go freestyle.
Freestyle. All right. If you believe we can do
freestyle.
That, we can try freestyle. All right.
Yes,
okay.
No, we could definitely do freestyle. I mean, we talked a little bit, but one of the things that, just as a programming note, one of the things that we discovered when we talked, because we would call each other and we'd talk, I felt like the stuff that we were talking about was so originally, and the things we were saying were so original that they got, you, our wonderful viewers, did not get a full taste of the Baldini magic, as it may be, because our conversations were just between him and me, but it was incredible, funny, witty, and spontaneous.
At least that's what we tell everybody, so that like the best of the show they get to hear.
Yeah, the best of the show you all missed.
You all missed.
As wonderful as you thought we were, but you missed a bunch.
Oh well.
So oh well, yeah, oh well. And so now we're going to start talking. I think tonight's topics are pretty much revolving around Paul. Was it Senator Paul, Rand Paul, and the JD mix up over the killing of the Venezuelans, right? That's one.
It's a lesson for what's real MAGA and what is fake MAGA, right?
Yeah, no, it is, and it's also just dumb versus not dumb. I mean, because I got a case for that too.
Grifter, loser, POS. Paul family, rich millionaires, fraudsters versus MAGA.
And I would add, a la John McCain version style of it. You know, self-aggrandizing, looking for the attention. There's the camera. Let me get in front of it.
Because I'm the losertarian part of the party. Well, libertarian, but losertarian.
Yeah, losertarian. Yeah, always voting against the best interest of the country.
Yeah.
So then there's also topic of the governor's race here in New Jersey, and some heavy duty lifting we'll be doing. We're talking about that as far as the education component is concerned, and then I think, brother, I got some videos that we're gonna briefly dive into that we're gonna share with you and kind of give us our freestyle review of them. And then what did you have, brother? You had one more, right? You had something you wanted to talk about.
What else are we gonna do? We're gonna do the Rand Paul one. What else? We're gonna
really
not
a lot
tariffs?
of prep, ladies and gentlemen.
We're
really
gonna do tariffs. We're gonna talk tariffs.
Yeah, tariffs. Yeah, tariffs. Yeah, we can talk tariffs. That's good.
Or we're going to do no, we're going to do
Loser Spartacus got out and said that the reason why people can't afford their bills in New Jersey is because the tariffs. Ignore the fact that there's been almost a doubling of the price of electricity in New Jersey. Ignore that.
Yeah. Or we're going to do the hot topic, the crime stuff. One or the other.
The crime stuff
whatever.
Is pretty good. Well, you know what? The crime stuff we're going to probably be talking about.
Okay. Okay, because you're going to do your clips. All right, do the clips.
Right. So let's start off with, let's talk about communism, brother. People don't understand the difference between communism and Democrats. I mean, there is no difference, but let's dive in. Here's this person, Michelle, I can't say her last name. She's talks about Mandani.
Communist, not just a socialist, a communist. Listen very closely to this gem.
We have to continue to elect more socialists, and we have to ensure that we are unapologetic about our socialism. There are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right, or whether it's the end goal of seizing the means of production.
Seize the means of production. Kids, you've got an internet. Look it up. Do a little homework as to what that meant in, let's say, Mao Zedong, China. What that meant during Lenin and Marx in Russia. Do a little work. This guy is a...
So to break that down, brother, you heard that, right? That was something you could hear through, so the audience can hear it as well. So what the idea of communism, this Mondani character is really more interested in gaining full control. I was listening to another video where he was hoping to have his these city-run supermarkets that were going to be selling the food and making money off of it in order to fill his pockets. But more importantly, it's the idea of the government in control, taking control of the means of production that this woman was talking about. Means of production, of course, is any type of factory, any type of farm, any type of place where you're producing stuff, right? That is the definition of communism, collectivism. I don't care if you call what you call it. It's still the idea of taking from one and forcing others to buy that product or buy that product at a particular place, which is what Mondani is going to do. He wants price controls. John, it's odd though. You know what? It's odd. It's almost like the Democrats are purposely self-destructing and destroying themselves. And because Mickey Sherrill has endorsed this clown, and Mickey Sherrill is
really?
Yes.
Wow.
She's endorsed him and thinks he'd be a great candidate, right? And I mean that's not her exact words, so don't quote me on it, but she is directly behind him. He's the Democrat candidate, right? I mean, so he's her guy for New York City mayor. I think what we look at, brothers, the steady dissolution of the Democrat Party. Scott Jennings said recently on CNN, the show that we're not, said that the head of the Democrat Party is in fact Donald Trump, because if Donald Trump is for the sky being blue, they're going to run out and say it's green, orange, purple, any color other than what Donald Trump is. So there's a true statement to that, except for the only organized part of this Democrat Party that is still anti-Trump, but very much willing to show its bona fides, is the Mandani group of people, the AOC, the Talibs, all the
Hate America Club.
The Hate America Club. It's all them. They're willing to show their true colors by claiming that socialism is good or collectivism is good. They're willing to say that we need to give it a try. They use that same old trope. Oh, it just hasn't been done right yet. It's never going to be done right because it's a failed system and it remains to stay on the ash heap of history.
Stuck on stupid.
Yeah, and it is. It is. So that's one video, brother.
Well,
I don't know. Did you want to say something? I know you got something to say about it.
So this is Yeonmi Park. I'm saying her name wrong. Yeonmi Park. She's a North Korean defector. Beautiful girl, written 2 books. One of the most amazing books I've ever read on her stories. But the reason why is because one of the things that she brings up is the shock of coming from North Korea. She basically was sex trafficking. She was a sex worker. Her and her mother walked across the border of North Korea towards the lights in China, where they were caught and then used as sex slaves. And her introduction to sex was watching her mother get raped rather than her get raped. But then she eventually get raped too. But she tells this amazing story about that, going across being bought, being sold. As a sexual, because the Chinese have slaves, right? For all the worksters who want to go, Black Lives Matter. How about like Chinese Lives Matter, right? The real slaves, the fake slaves that are going around, demanding reparations. How about the real slaves that we still have in the world, in Africa and China? Anyway, she does. She tells her amazing story, but at one point she makes it to North Korea and she makes it to America, and she's stunned in America by a little thing called the supermarket. And the reason why is because she never knew there was that many varieties. Even when she crossed the border and eventually got over to South Korea, South Korea's supermarket, you might have 1 or 2 things. She goes, her book is absolutely amazing. You got to read it. It's the best defense of capitalism, so-called capitalism. I'm not going to use that word. Free market that I've ever actually read. She goes, she didn't realize that you needed different toothbrushes and different things. She didn't realize there were different apples. She's fully on board with it now. But she's amazed. And so this is a woman who's gone from the one extreme to the other. Now one of the idiot wokesters on the left was this, that Turk, that dumb Turk, that young Turk idiots. And one of their clowns, and I saw an argument, I think he was arguing like Charlie Kirk. It goes, your system has this inequality and all these people are poor. Bullshit. Okay, so the actual statistics are this: from 1850 to 1920, these are the statistics, right? The world population was at 1850 was 1.4 billion, and the world, 1 billion, and the world GDP was 1.4 trillion, and so from 1 billion over the next 100 plus years to 1920, population went up to 8 billion. And from at the same time period, the world GDP went up from 1.4 trillion to $140 trillion, right? And what does that mean in real world terms? That means in the beginning of 1850, 95% of the world starved and only 5% of the population were fed. And at the end of that, thanks to industrialization, American farms and American leading the way and and free markets, you had, now the problem is obesity. And 95% of the world is fed every day. This is the lie to that, as Tolstoy called him, that mendacious mediocrity. That there's too many people, the Malthusian nonsense that Bill Gates believes, that moron Bill Gates believes in, right? Because in a 8-fold increase in population, you have 100-fold increase when people have freedom of production. And it's absolutely amazing what free markets do. The reason why being, of course, the business of America is business, says the great president Silent Cal. And the reason why he cuts the government is because it gives him, pointing up to God, more room to maneuver. We are born, God puts a dream in our heart, and our job is to have take the steps of faith to pursue that dream. But you can't do it if you have an oppressive government telling you what you can, what you must and cannot do. You know, this communism nonsense is again rising its ugly head, and this avariceness from the left. It's evil. Marx was an evil devil worshiper, right? And he was driven to he hated God, he hated the family, he hated everything. He hated society, he was anti-Semite, and more than that, he was anti-Christian bigot. And everything that they produce, everything is their so-called philosophy. There's no economics to it. All it is a religion of evil and avarice and envy and nonsense. You know, nobody's oppressing anybody. You know, it's all oppression. So when you have kids, are you oppressing your kids? No, you're growing your kids. You're dying for your kids. So there's a boss working, over workers. Is he oppressing your worker? No. At any time the worker can leave. Okay, they're supposed to be the best bosses, the best workers are working together to produce something.
I would disagree. You cannot leave your job in a communist country.
In a communist country. And so anyway, that wokester idiot, the other thing that he said was, well, look at 5% of the population of the world, we're starving to death. Yeah, 5% of the world are still starving to death in North Korea, you moron, in the communist systems, you idiot. Right? You freaking idiot. You wokesters. And it's all fraud. All the AOC, the woke left is as bad as the woke right. The woke left and AOC and Bernie, bro, that scumbag's got millions. You know, it's just like that scumbag AOC, who's probably going to be the presidential candidate, which is great for the Democrats. You know, she goes, Donald Trump, kill my grandma. Remember there was a big hurricane that wiped out like Puerto Rico, and she said, my grandmother, she's starving down there. Hey, asshole, you got a freaking $100,000 job. You go take care of your own goddamn grandmother, asshole. Yeah. You know, she's just a
she's
worth $20 million. They're all worth millions and millions of dollars. Why don't, if they were really
siphon the money off of the stock market?
If they were really for the people,
their inside connections,
right? If they were really for the people, why don't they give all their money away? If they're really, communist, and they were, it's all about, equality. Give your money away to the poor, jerk. Why do you have to steal other people's money? So, and I'll tell you why. So they can have absolute control. Because these people, this is their religion. They are nuts. They are evil. They're going down. And this is a perfect example. It's like Trump. I wish I had the video from Donald Trump. This I think it was Thursday when he was at the museum for the Bible down in Washington D.C., pointing out, laughing about how God works and how these evil people expose themselves and how he wins because they do. He's laughing about it. He's pointing. It's funny how the way that works, and he's absolutely right. We got to do a whole show on that. We have to do a whole show on it because evil will out itself and destroy it. And they fool going along with this. And it's all these sad people that are looking for meaning in their life, and they go to this nonsense. You're not getting meaning by following by being envious and stealing stuff from other people. It's impossible for rich people to go to heaven as it is. It's impossible as a camel to go through a needle's eye. And then you're going to take away their stuff, and so that now they're justified in keeping their stuff. Come on, knock it off, grow up. Stop being spoiled little children. Get off your fat asses and do something for yourself, right? And that's what I got to say about that. And that's all I got to say about that.
You raise a great point about where you are with the socialism and communism, and where the Democrats are. Though they're at that point where their party is completely flipped. Listen, John. When Obama won, the Republican Party had to have a come to Jesus moment. It seems like the Democrats have had their come to the devil moment, as you might say, because that's where they're headed. They're 2080 on every major position. When it comes to the border, they're for the illegals, they're for sanctuary state, they're for the neo-Confederate behavior of fighting the federal government laws. This is what they are. They're there for the transgender, they want the boys and girls locker rooms. They want the boys and girls sports. They want all that, or we want the boys and girls sports. And when you get right down to it, brother, they have chosen those sides. And it's really, Trump has broken them because he has taken a principled stand on all of those. And they have no choice in their TDS enriched brains, but to jump onto the anti-Trump, side of it, and that has been the 20%, because they're wrong. They're always going to be wrong, and that's the same thing when it comes to the conditions in New York City. New York City is not the bountiful bosom of freedom that it may have been 100 years ago. It's not even close to what we can hope for. But we can talk more about that. I want to dive into where is the Democrat model going on? Because, like John, right? There's the Republican model, the Trump model, right? And then there's the Democrat model. If the Democrats win, what does the future look like? If the Republicans win, what does the future look like? Well, we know the future for the Republicans with Trump winning and control and keeping control of the government. We're going to have prosperity. It's going to be America first. It's going to be, no foreign entanglements. We know what we can expect. But what can we expect from the Democrats being in charge, brother? So here you go. This is Great Britain.
Money going to immigrants who, quote, rape our kids and get priority, end quote. This offence is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable. Would you stand, please? The sentence that I pass has been reduced by 1/3 to reflect your guilty plea. The sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment. Say that you did not.
So, John, he posted something. You did not want your money to go to illegal immigrants for a Facebook post. And I want to make a point here that we almost hit this. This almost happened. Because I don't know if you remember this, but back when Twitter was called Twitter, it was the FBI was working in cahoots with both Facebook and Twitter. The FBI was on staff at Twitter, and they were censoring public speech, and that came out recently in a whole ombudsman type of style of review of the department. But we know that they were directly involved in it, in trying to censor the public. And what's the next step from doing it covertly is doing it overtly. Remember, I almost called him Obama. Biden was going to have an office of basically, doublespeak, where he's going to have an Orwellian version of people going after people who speak out of whatever the topic of the government is unhappy about. In this case, illegal immigrants. Not just by saying you didn't want your money to go, for your tax money to go to illegal immigrants. That was enough to get somebody locked up for 20 months. John, listen, this judge thinks he's being judicious in the sense that he knocked off 1/3 of the potential
for a tweet.
For just as simple Facebook, a post. So the real crime is 30 months. That's what you get for the full length of it. 30 months, John.
And another girl got that, and there was the guy who was praying inside his own home at the abortion, right next to the abortion area, praying in his home, and they arrested him, and he's in jail. And of course, the saga of Tommy Robinson. We look at the Brits and we think that they're like us. We look at the rest of the world and we think they're like us. I call this the lion tamer phenomena. You always, a lion tamer can tame a lion because the lion is looking up at the lion tamer and says, wow, that's a big lion. That lion is 6 foot. There must be 20 foot of line behind him, but there's not. Once the lion figures out, all he's got to do is one swipe, and there's only 1 foot of human behind that 6 foot lion. It's all over. You can never tame that lion anymore. We always do this. We look at the rest of the world as if they're us. They're not. The rest of the world is filled with a bunch of maniacs. And the English who look like us the most and talk like us, they are not America. They do not have freedom of speech. They do not have a free system. They are our ally, but it's one of those things that we keep making this mistake. And you're right. That's the future. Now, it's the fact though of the matter is that, President Putinhead was not in charge. What had happened was the wokesters, the evil colleges like Harvard and Yale, etc. Right? These are the clowns, and we call them the aristocreeps. This is the Harvard, Yale, etc. That only marry Harvard, Yale, etc. That only live in zip codes with Harvard, Yale, etc. Like, every time I go
John,
up to a city,
they virtue signal with the flags, the BLM, and what's the latest one? The Ukrainian flag, right? They virtue signal
this is
by
their religion.
putting it out.
This is their religion, right?
Yep.
They hate America, and they've imported this Marxist cultural revolution. And so they're the ones who think that, it's their religion. Their religion is this wokeism. And of course, anybody who says, it can't stand the light of day, and it can't stand the light of truth, and it can't stand the light of Christianity, so it can't stand the light of America. This is a foreign idea. These are foreign ideas that do not belong in American soil. They're not a soil. They're not indigenous to America, and they need to be run out. Now, I predict. I don't want to tell our viewers this because they'll want to just tune it all off. Like, things are going to be okay. But I predict that that they're going to be out of power for a good decade because they do not get this, right? And that's good, but that's not enough for us because they have destroyed this country over the last 60 years, and we are far behind what we should be, and we have had generations destroyed by this wokeism bullcrap, and we need to reassert America and have another golden age. Fortunately, we have the best president ever. We're gonna have a golden age. Good is my favorite color, not a silver age, but a gold age. But he's only going to be in there for another few more years. So everybody listening needs to gird their loins, suck it up, and get in there. And just like in Tombstone, we got to chase these scum down. We got to kill every one of these mothers. Well, metaphorically, of course, right? And just like in that scene in Tombstone, where they got the sash around them. They killed Johnny Ringo and Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer. They killed the what was the name of that outlaw group? The Outlaws, whatever the hell they were. And they had the sash that made them special, and they threw the sash in. That's what you do. We're going to need all those MAGA people to chase them out of this country, to chase those Harvard, Yale scum out of this country. Break them. Break this evil religion. This evil religion is imported itself onto our domestic soil.
Maybe they'll be happy in Great Britain. I mean, up in Scotland, you got that 12-year-old girl who got arrested for protecting her daughter, her 14 her sister.
Her sister, and it's so sad because she was so scared, but she was so brave. And so, but England is revolting. Maybe the English remember that their heritage, and maybe they will throw this off. They haven't thrown it off though for 20 years of grooming gangs. Maybe the French will remember their goals, and they were Europe's great killers. Maybe they'll throw it off. But there are viable strains of Westernness, right? And there are unviable strains of Westernness. Like the Russians are an unviable strain of Westernness, right? They're just doomed. They've had their atheism. They're a country of prison guards and slaves and atheists and barbarians. And so, that's not really a viable strain. But the Hungarians and the Polish, they're viable strains. Now the Germans, the Nazis, all the Germans are out of there. Maybe we should nuke them. but there are viable strains and there are unviable strains of Westernness, right? And hopefully the English will get their stuff together. But if not, then there will be an unviable strain of Westernness that succumbs to the woke mind virus, to the communism, to this cultural communism, and this devil worshiping, and they say, oh, we don't believe in God. And they make fun of all the believers in God. And what do you believe in? You believe in the devil. You believe in his crap, envy, separation. They have stealing of theft of their property. Anti-property. Anti-individualism. Government. Government is your statism, is your religion. Get the hell out of here. You're worse than the most Spanish Inquisition medievalist inquisitor that there was.
Well, I think, John, I think also there's this whole big thing of rewriting history. When you say chase them out, it needs to be chased out of our schools, which also means like you gotta fix the curriculums, you gotta fix the education systems, you gotta fix what's going on as far as what's being taught, because with this, like Howard Zinn, for example, and the entire woke left, which has warped American history to make America to be the bad guy. There's no more of this teaching that America is a great country. There's somehow that they all want to talk about this being the original sin of American history. They all want to. They just want to try to knock us instead of build it up.
They hate themselves, and they're right to hate themselves. We hate them too. We should hate them too. They should hate themselves, but they shouldn't be hating all the rest of us. We don't have these problems. We're not racist. You're racist.
Yeah, or the foundation that we're built on. We're built on some solid ideas that many people in the world, strive to come here for. It's not because, for me, it's because of those freedoms, but more importantly, other people try to emulate us because of those freedoms. You were going to say, brother?
One of my best mates had said, he finds that, for the whole race thing, pretty much everybody he knows has moved past it. Right? It's only the hustlers that are making money off of trying to keep ginning it up. And we're like, what kind of nut are you? Why would you?
Also in the schools too, John. It's very much in the schools. I mean, I see it like here in New Jersey.
That's because you work in a communist system there, brother. You gotta break the monopoly of the school system.
Well, I think that the monopoly of the public school system is nationwide, but we do need to fix the system in the sense that what is being taught is actually really an alternate history from the way it really was. The perfect example is that 1619 project, that lie that was perpetrated on American society, that is being used to push this woke agenda and things like that. And this idea that in schools you can't have people who are, you have to have the person of the same skin tone in order to teach something. This is all part of the lies of the left, which when you get right down to it, cause trouble within the society. Because if you're going to have, you shouldn't be looking at the color of somebody's skin to determine if they'd be a good teacher or not. You should be looking at the quality of teaching that they're doing. That determines whether they're a good teacher or not. Not some, their gender or their established sex ed preferences, whatever. It's not about that. It's about, can you teach or not? And I'll be blunt. There's a lot of Democrats out there that I know are very good teachers. They're very good teachers in how they teach and understanding the mechanics of what they're teaching. But they use material that's just completely outrageously wrong. Like, what's that idiot from Noah? What's his name? Trevor Noah. They use him. And they act as if he's non-biased. He's biased. He's completely biased. I could put Rush Limbaugh on there, and I'd get all kinds of garbage for that. But they're doing the same thing.
No, they're different though, brother. I'm going to push back on that. Rush Limbaugh is a truth teller, and part of the woke right today is they're doing all these clicks and stuff. He always kept to his principles, and these people are not. They don't have principles. As the great Dennis Prager would say, truth is not a left-wing value. It's not a value of the left. It's a value of the right and us in America, but it's not their value.
Well, what I meant by that was Rush Limbaugh is seen as a conservative voice, right? And Trevor Noah is seen as a liberal voice or a left-wing communist voice. And that's what I was trying to say. If they heard Rush Limbaugh coming from my classroom, they would be like, "Oh my God, he's so right-wing, blah blah blah." But I don't do that to them, although I probably should. But that's my point. My point is he's so clearly. He's clearly one side. This sounds like a nice tune, brother.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's what I have on that.
That's all I got to say about that.
That's all I got to say.
I can't do Tom Hanks and I can't do it. That's all I got to say about that.
Can I freestyle with one more video?
Sure.
Continue to have a violence problem as long as red states continue to have a gun problem. Roughly 30% of your adult residents are functionally illiterate. Fewer than 1 in 3 Chicago school children can read at grade level. 80% of your Black children are born to fatherless homes. Your homeless rate tripled in 2024. There were 1,200 store burglaries in June alone, and those are just the ones that were reported. You're going to blame Indiana for that too? If the simple act of possessing a gun led to gun violence, then the entire state of Montana would look like a Quentin Tarantino movie. It doesn't, though. The truth is that you have a liberal.
That was the best. That was the best line.
That was a great line.
I
So
played
true.
this video just because of that line, John. That's why.
That's so true.
Policies problem that leads to a poverty, addiction, and crime problem. And until people get that through their brains and take it to the ballot box, we will continue to go around and around this mulberry bush, and people will continue to die.
So I wanted to bring that video up because it's also kind of semi-introduction to the New Jersey governor's race. Because when it comes to education in New Jersey, believe it or not, John, there are schools in New Jersey that are worse than the Chicago that she just described. We have schools that are graduating kids with zero proficiency in math, science, reading, and writing. And I kid you not, it's not a kidding matter, but these are the Abbott districts. So they gave them a different name nowadays, but they've been known traditionally for like 50 years as Abbott district because of the Abbott ruling. And the Abbott districts are the poor income districts that are places like Asbury Park, Phillipsburg, Robbinsville, Clark, and other cities in and around New Jersey. And the argument was that the scores are so low because and there's a big difference there's an inequality in places like Wyckoff and places in Bergen County, Mahwah, Sparta over here in Sussex, that the scores up there are inordinately higher because of the amount of money that can be dumped into those districts because they have wealthy people who live there, higher taxes, so forth and so forth. So the entire Abbott district ruling is about getting equality of funding to those districts. Well, I'm here to tell you in the last decade, which is only about 1/5 of the entire breadth of this case, the Abbott cases, 1/5 of it. In the last 10 years, over $40 billion have been dumped into these districts, and the record of improvement is virtually nil. There's been one or two districts which are the outliers, which have done better, but by and large, with my numbers that I've looked at, the price per pupil, for example, at one point in Asbury Park was $45,000 per child. And whereas like an ordinary district in New Jersey, one of those expensive ones, John, was something like $20,000. So to put it bluntly, at the time of that, you could send a child to Catholic school, have him a daily driver, somebody who would pick him up and drop him off like an Uber every day, take him there and be able to feed him or her at that Catholic school, and you still have money left over from that $45,000 per child from Asbury Park. They also the liberal policies that the woman was talking about. Those liberal policies include having the idea of something called the 64 floor, where the student only starts off the year having a 64. Normally having a 0 is where you start off, but in Asbury Park, the 64th, that's where you start off with. So 65 is D, that's the D, and 64 is an F. So you start at 64, not 0. And so you turn in one assignment, guess what?
Wow.
Passing. Not only that, but if you have you don't take attendance until 11 o'clock, nearly 4 hours into the day, which is also the time that they're doing lunch, which is when the kids show up to get lunch because they don't generally attend the morning classes. This is what was going on in Asbury Park. So, but John, the richest part of this, and I don't mean rich in a good way, I mean the most thing that's going to make you like fall over isn't that this was an acceptable process in the state of New Jersey. It's that Governor Murphy picked the superintendent who came up with these ideas. He became the commissioner of education in New Jersey. He was promoted to the commissioner of education in New Jersey and was running around the state going, equity this and equity that, and we need to do something to fix. John, this is what his whole entire argument for the 64 floor plan was, that it was equity for those students because the rich white students in Franklin Lakes and other, Somerset and wherever else, Bernardsville, they were getting they were being able to graduate after having earned it, and that these people in these poor people in Asbury Park who have been left behind by his stupid policies, they should just be graduated. That's what he improved the graduation rate. He was called a success because he improved the graduation rate, because people only had to get one assignment in order to pass for a marking period, John. And this is these stupid policies that you see created children who can't read, who can't write, they can't do the math, they can't count, and they can't do science, and so therefore they have no future that would be the traditionally promised future of going off to college. Numbers so low, John. This is on the New Jersey DOE website. Don't believe me? Check it out for yourself. Numbers so low from places like Asbury Park and others. Not Asbury Park isn't the exception; it's the rule. It's so numbers so low that they cannot identify the number. They put a little N there, meaning that it's a null set. They can't tell you, because if they told you the percentage, you'd be able to figure out which kids it were to protect your privacy. That's how bad the numbers are in New Jersey. And then we have a governor, Murphy, running around saying New Jersey schools are the best. We have Sean Spiller, who was the former president of the NJEA, running around saying New Jersey schools are the best. We got to protect the black and brown people of New Jersey, which are the ones in these poor districts. And in actuality, John, all they're doing is guaranteeing another generation of students who can't read and write. Newark itself, I'll give you another example. Newark third graders can't read. This is not COVID. This is no longer COVID. They want to blame COVID, and we could talk about COVID because the COVID policies being produced four grades of kids who can't read, write, or do math. Because between K and 3, you learn to read, and from 3 onward, you read to learn. And if you miss those K to 3 periods, that time, those 4 years, which 4 years of kids did during the COVID years. Actually, it was 2 sets, because COVID really stretched really over 2 years, if you get it, because it was the rear end of one and it was the beginning of the next one. So it really damaged the entire thing. If you look at it like that, we have 4 years or 4 to 8 years of kids who are completely clueless on how to read, or detrimentally damaged by their ability not to learn how to read because they weren't allowed to be in school. And we have Cheryl out there, and we should just jump in behind her. The Democrats and the NJA is telling us everyone should just jump in behind them because Murphy was so good, she can continue his policies. Listen, I could go on all night about it, but I will just leave it at this: is voting for her guarantees that we're going to have another generation of kids who are not going to be able to read and not be able to write. It's happened already. It's going to happen again, brother. We've had it for 50 years. And if you look at who's been in charge of New Jersey the most in that time period, it's not Republicans. It's Democrats. So I don't know. I get back to the education thing. We want to get them out. We need the Democrats out of power. We need these socialist-loving, communist-minded Democrats who are ruining our society out, not just the politics, but in the everyday life of where our kids are learning and what they're learning. And this idea that, they've been in charge of this. They've been in charge of the legislature. They've been in charge of the governorship now, but they've also been in charge of the school board, which is the group that's allowing and pushing things like the sex ed. And we've talked about this before, where in second grade, they're showing cartoon versions of vaginas and penises of little boys and little girls. And you can go back and look in our archives. You will see it. I showed you I wish I had prepared to have that up. So a little bit.
Oh,
I'll give you a little tip on that one. But the truth is, you know, this is what they were pushing. They were pushing for this, and it is being used in New Jersey school districts. No matter what you say, one person that you went to school with, brother, a gentleman that you went to school with, who I had a Facebook mini war with, challenged me to do it, and I pulled it up and I showed it to him. I said, "Here's the district," and I go, "Oh, here's another district that's doing it. Here's another district that's doing it," and he's like, "Okay, all right, but it's not really affecting anybody." Crap, it's affecting everybody. That's why we're having troubles with kids who don't want to solve problems, who don't want to get out in the workforce, who can't drive, who can't even, you know, get from point A to point B without mommy or daddy holding their hands. Sorry, my rant's over. I apologize. I was a little ranty.
That's all I got to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that.
Forrest Gump went to college.
Yes, he did. He did. Anyway, brother, let's talk about the crime in the. Let's talk about Washington D.C., John.
Do you want to talk about it, or do you have a clip?
I don't have a clip.
Okay.
I was unprepared. We're freestyling. Remember, we're freestyling.
Well, I believe that this is another, you know, for all the, you know, I can't stand listening.
Wait, I got a question for you. Should he go into Chicago?
Of course he can. Yes, he can. Yes, he should. And of course he can.
Okay.
Now,
go on.
Legally, so I can't stand the jokesters on the right, you know, who constantly say, "Oh, you know, it's like that knucklehead Barnes. He's a great lawyer, but you should never listen to him about like politics and stuff like that." Some stuff. He goes, "Oh, Trump's got to do this. Trump's got to do that." He is a freaking grandmaster of grandmasters, right? He is now, and listen, the power of Trump is the truth. He just says the truth. You know, he just says, when he came down the escalator and he said, "I think Mexico's not giving us the best people." It's just the truth. Right? Yeah. It's just so why? And he makes this, and he says, why? And I think what's the kid named Kirk? He made the point that
Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, the scum left, and because of their incompetence and the fact that they're corrupt and just stealing money, you know, and all these major cities have Democrats in charge for 100 years now. 60 years in Philadelphia, 100 years in Chicago, and all the rest of them, is that they divert attention with all this nonsense from the fact that they're completely incompetent and that they can't keep peace on the streets. So they've normalized this, and we've all grown to accept it. You know, the poor little Ukrainian girl getting killed, you know, on a subway. We're supposed to normalize that. Although it was a great point that you know, they went after that Marine kid like they were going to lynch him. And tried him and charged him for defending exactly something like this, and they nobody did a damn thing to lift a finger to save this poor girl, right? That guy's a hero, and these people are zeros, right? Because they're against that culture of masculinity and protecting and defending people. So anyway, is a grandmaster stroke, right? He goes, why do we have to accept this? Why? This is bull. We're in America. We're the leading country of the world. Why are we accepting this nonsense? I know, I got an idea. Let's send the National Guard in and restore peace on the streets. And it works, right? It absolutely works. Why? Well, because criminals are cowards, and you know, a lot of criminals are cowards, and the really bad ones are the predators are cowards. If you're a predator, you're a coward, right? And so, of course, the National Guard works in there. Now they say, "Oh, posse comitatus," right? Well, remember, it's so funny that the Democrat Party is invoking the name of posse comitatus, of course, which is back from the era of Jim Crow and the antebellum South, where the Democrats in the South didn't want to give equal rights to black people, and so they invented a whole social system and all the judges and all the prosecutors and all the rest of it to keep down poor black people from competing economically, from getting guns, from getting their rights. And of course, they passed the posse comitatus to prevent the military being used on the streets of America. Oh, yeah. And of course, you know, the woke right, the idiot Barnes is, and I always say, the woke right is as bad as the woke left. The Rand Paul, scumbag Rand Paul, and Tom Massey and all these other idiots. They're as much a fraudster extracting money from the poor people on the right who believe their nonsense about they believe for freedom, right? The reason why the libertarians hate the military is because they're inherently cowards and they can't stand the idea of a military. Brave men like my son going off there and doing that. They don't understand the real purpose of military in America is to keep us all safe. From the massive hordes that would come over and start stuff like we just saw in President Putin's administration, and to do things like this, to put down social arrest, and to put down take care of Katrina, things like that. And so can he use the military in these cities? Yes, he can, because these people's civil rights are being violated by these criminals. All right, I'm a criminal defense attorney. I'm not saying all criminals, but, and there's a way over prosecution of the mentally handicapped and all the rest of it. But the predators, and there's a small cadre of predators out there that get away with bloody murder because of the system that is in place in these cities, and they prey on people. Yes, they're violating their civil rights. So of course he can put the federal government, military, and it's going to have the effect. Now he's going one city at a time to draw out. Donald Trump has stolen the Democratic Party from the Democrats, and he's always loved the black people and the Hispanic people. Why? Because he's a middle class guy. He's always loved the middle class. You go look at his history. His history is creating casinos where people can think that they're being treated like a king, like a freaking like George Bush treats the Saudi royal family, right? And so he's always loved, and it's always his target demographic of people he wanted to support in his casinos and in his buildings is the middle class. So he's always loved the middle class and the black people and Hispanic people. But of course, because of the evil press, the fake press, and the fact that it's being run by a bunch of Democrats, they've slammed him with this moniker that he's a racist, blah blah blah. It's like, boy, they let that scumbag pedophile get away with that torches, which is all FBI. Was an FBI freaking setup? I swear to God. Right? The tiki torch is Bill, right? And he's a racist. They let him demonize him, and bad press works like that. And he's been demonized by that. But he is such a sweetheart that he sees the death and destruction in these black communities and Hispanic communities, and he goes, you know what? I could do something about that. I'm the president of the United States of America. I got the world's greatest military force right here. I know what I'll do. I'm going to send them into the streets. I'm going to save black lives and Hispanic lives, right? And those people they're going to go, holy crap, you mean Trump's not a racist? He cares about real black lives? He really cares about Black Lives Matter? Yeah. And he's going to break through this wall of lies of the evil press and these scumbags like Nora O'Donnell and Katie Couric. It's not so cute, boy, wear off, right? That bloom come off that rose. And all these other losers, in the press, these fighters who have destroyed the country, done everything they can to destroy this country, and give that lie that you're nothing but a racist because you're a Republican, right? Well, he's pulled off this grandmaster strategy, and I'm telling you, he's doing it a little bit at a time to make the point. And because it's a bigger game that, it's always, he's playing like there's like chess, there's checkers, there's chess, then there's Vulcan chess, right? And then there's Vulcan mind fracking you chess, right? He's at that level. And he's going to do this city. And, let the bag judges tell him he doesn't have the right to do that. At some point, he's just going to have to start ignoring the idiots. Because just partisans, or just start arresting a few of them because they're and just do what he did, he's doing to the idiot Fed. Look at how corrupt. Call him out on the and lock him up. That's what he needs to do with the Fed. Lock those idiots up. They're corrupt. Lock up those idiot judges that are partisan hacks. They're just using for political purposes because they're getting money. Their daughters or their family members are getting money for their judicial decisions. That's called corruption. Lock them up. And so he's, of course he can, and of course he should, and of course he will, because he's the greatest president we've ever had, use the military in Chicago and stop violence. And you can see it coming. You can see it. And then he's going to go on to the next city, right? And then the next city. And he's driving a stake through the enemy's heart. And that's the American way. That's the, Sherman's way. Why fighting the borderland people, against, and I know what we'll drive a stake through the enemy's heart. We'll march on Atlanta and burn it to the ground. The great Curtis. I know why we're going to have to fight the Japanese. No, I know what we're going to do. I got an almanac of the Japanese cities. I'm just going to smash them off one at a time. That's what I'm going to do, right? And drive a stake through the enemy's heart, right? And that's what he's doing because it's a brilliant move. But it's the only moral thing that can be done, and it should have been done years ago. Why hasn't nobody done this, right? It should have been done years ago. Put the military on the streets. Let the cowards, because listen, the true predators are cowards, right? They are cowards, and they'll stop killing. And criminals, they prey. The real criminal is a predator. He preys on the weak. He preys on the elderly. He preys on women. He preys on the vulnerable, right? And so, what is he? We're spending trillions of dollars for the American military. Why not defend the people in these cities? It is unbelievably absurd. It's as dangerous to be in a compound as it is to be in an inner city. It's wrong, and it's a moral wrong, and it's a political wrong that we've come to accept. And again, the woke right, and this is the thing about Rand, scumbag Paul, and the rest of them, they're happy to see the death of black people like that because they're just elitist as much as AOC and scumbag Bernie. The woke right as the woke left are the same thing. They're this aristocrat class of people who hate the American people. And so they're happy to see the death of black and brown people, right? And Donald Trump is going to be named Saint Trump, right? He's going to get his face on Mount Rushmore. He deserves it already. But by actions just like this, and mark my words, over the next 3 years, he is going to be now knocking down crime in these cities when these mayors can't do it because they won't do it because they're incompetent boobs and they're paid off. They're corrupt. And the Republicans are just as bad because they allow it. And they do. This is the United States of America. It's the leading country in human history. What the hell are you having rates of so many people? And you're letting these scum get away with this. Oh, it's too many guns. Bullcrap. We know that in the countryside, you have lots of guns. And in crappy cities, because you have all this gun control, you have zero guns. And the only people who have guns are the criminals. If you really wanted to free these things, and the next thing he's going to do about Washington, D.C. too, is, you know what? Why don't we have concealed carry? Why don't we start handing out guns to the poor, to the weak, to the elderly, and say, we don't care about your criminal background. If you're elderly, you get a gun. Go, some predator tries to rob you, shoot his ass. And that's the end of that. And that's all I got to say about that. Hey, Rand.
Well, brother, I do think it is good. I was listening to VDH, who's a little concerned about him going into Chicago, but would prefer to see. His concern? Well, his concern is that it's going to be that the people who are going to be protesting aren't going to be the black people and the brown people who are being saved. It's not the ordinary middle class American that's going to be.
That's okay.
Saved.
They'll be the Democrats. Now, there's a great precedent.
The elites are going to go out there. They're going to use it. They're going to try to drive it as a wedge.
What's the precedent for this? The precedent for this is Eisenhower and JFK and the South when he sent the 101st Airborne in to open up the schools against Democrats and Wallace and company who were not letting people go to school, right? And have equal rights. So yes, now it was okay then. One Democrat and one Republican president because they have that right, and it needs to be done. Same thing. Yes, the Democrats are going to steal and protest, and that's part of the piece of Trump. He lets them expose themselves for who they are. They're defending the death and the murderers, the murderers and the killing of these victims. Let them do that.
I understand, and I listen. I've really listening to VDH. He can see all that, but the problem is, it's going to be the elites who do it. It's going to make the elites look bad. I think it's because really, when you get right down to it, they are the ones who in Washington, D.C. are quite happy that they can go out to dinner at night and not worry about being hurt. That they can do that right now. But he makes a great point only in this: if he really drives home Washington, D.C. as an example of improvement, then he's going to force these city mayors to, he thinks, to get them to join and ask for the help. I quite frankly don't care if they ask for help. I think he should just do it and prove the point. But having said that, we're faced with several governorships that are up. I think right now there's Virginia that I know of and New Jersey. It's a question of where do you want your state to go towards going forward, and do you want to have? And I'm going to say right now, of course, if you listen to the polls, Trump in New Jersey, Chitterelli's behind, and Cheryl's ahead, something like 10 points. They say that it's closing. I honestly believe, and this isn't to discourage anybody from going out to vote, but I honestly believe we're looking at the same time period of last year in the general election. And right now it's where Trump was in reality with the polls is the same exact place that Chitterelli is in with regards to the polls. And Harris. I think Cheryl's internal campaign polls are telling her she's behind. You don't get campaign polls that lie to you, your internals. You don't release them, but you don't get internal polls that you tell you a lie. You want to have the truth. And I think she's being told she's losing. And she's lost a couple mayors. Jack, I think, is using the same team or similar team or shrunken down team that Trump was using in his campaign, which was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. When they called them garbage men, what did Trump do? He got himself into a garbage truck, put on the vest, and it said MAGA on the side. America first. Brilliant. I think Jack is using those same people. Trump goes into a McDonald's, serves fries. I just watched a video the other night. Jack was in a bar serving beers. He's doing the jobs. I would encourage him now to go when he goes to his diner shops. He should take a pad, take a pen, take an order, and put it in and deliver it. And as he's doing it, talk to people. He should do that. I also encourage him to do my pizza review. I'd be more than willing to do one with him. But
you can bring that back. Are you back Snake Doctor? I love those. Those were just amazing.
I can't bring Snake Doctor. He's on the injured reserve list.
Oh,
so I need to. I might see if Anthony wants to do it.
Well, that'd be great. Hold it, and you do the pizza review. That'd be awesome. Pizza stool review. What'd you call it?
Yeah, pizza. It's just a pizza. Well, I took it from Barstool Sports, but
you approved it.
Portnoy. I did approve it because I did it out.
That guy's an idiot, so I'm glad.
I did it 1 out of 10 Trumps, and then we did ice cream by 1 out of 10 Melanias because we love Trump, but he's not as sweet as Melania. So ice cream has to be something sweet, right? So
yeah.
But pizza is pizza. I mean, it's the bread and butter of America. So anyway, the last thing I wanted to pull up was this ad from Jack, and this is my example that Jack has something on the ball. At least his campaign team has something on the ball on what he's driving home. This campaign speaks volumes to a lot of people, I think.
Ad. And it said that you took $30,000 from Elon Musk's campaign fund and that you made millions on the stock market, tripling your net worth while you were in Congress and you were fined for unreported trades. What do you say to that?
We don't trade individual stocks. I don't think anyone in Congress should, quite frankly. And I've been on legislation for that.
Just if you can't see, it says Team Cheryl insisted in April 2020 that the Congresswoman's move away from individual stocks had been made before the pandemic. This is from the Free Beacon. This is from Charlemagne the God. I don't know, you saw him in the last campaign. But so this is a friendly Democrat place for her to be interviewed, is the point. And she pulls a word salad a la Kamala Harris. All right.
So I don't hold individual stocks.
So when Newsmax.
So, but just to continue from the last thing, but the buying and selling kept going throughout the year as the pandemic raged. So, in other words, she still continued to trade stocks.
Claims that you made $7 million from stock trades. What are they talking about?
I'm not sure what they're talking about. It's not as if I go sit on the House Armed Services Committee and suddenly I'm trading Boeing or something.
Well,
did you make some million in stock trades?
It looks like it.
I haven't. I don't believe I did, but I'd have to go.
That was an admission.
What that was.
What's that, brother?
That was 2 admissions in a row. That's not good.
Yeah, like.
All right, if you didn't mean Boeing, that's because that's a tell. What stock did you? The cross-examination question. What stock did you trade like Boeing?
Did you trade? Yes.
That's the tell.
Yeah,
that's the cross-examination response, right?
Jack's team is legendary at this point with this. This is legendary. I saw this I think it was like a month ago, and I'm like, oh, this is gold. It's not even done yet, John. She's not even done embarrassing herself here.
Alluding to again, what kind of came from?
It was a report in the.
No, I know it's from Newsmax.
Then another one in the Washington Free Beacon. They said you had increased from between 733,209 to over 4 million in 2019, and then between 4 million to 13 million in 2024. So that's where they got the 7 million increase.
They averaged out that, yeah. Look, I both my husband and I come from very middle-class families.
Hold on, I just want to be clear though. I just want to be clear because this ad is running, and I'm sure you'll be asked about this a million times. So, you know, if you get an opportunity to just clear it up, I think you should take it now. It says she made millions on the stock market, tripling her net worth while in Congress, and was then fined for unreported trade.
So just want to be clear, friendly site saying, listen, I mean, can you just explain us away? Is there something you can give me that we can use to make sure that we're covering your ass? That's what it comes down to, John. Please give us something so that we can cover for you. And here's her response.
True or false?
So I think we made money and paid a fine for that. Because again, I don't want anybody to think that I owe anything to anyone.
Failed to disclose $350,000.
Or that I'm somehow enriching myself. Because I think people have really low faith in government, right?
And you.
Now.
So
it doesn't
so John,
when the congressmen all start Congress with no money and they all leave as millionaires.
Yeah, a la Nancy Pelosi.
Help, dear. That doesn't help, dear. Right?
Yeah, a la Nancy Pelosi.
Is that the end of that? Because I want to get one more thing in, one more rant.
Go. I mean, that's the end of that. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I want to get into the rant about the woke right and the woke left, because over this week we had the incident of Trump, the Trumpy baby, the best president we ever had, Xing out the speedboat filled with fentanyl headed to America. Right. You want to say anything about that? Now, what do you think, brother? Is that good?
When I heard that Trump had ordered the destruction of this boat filled with drugs and traffickers, I was upset. I was upset that it was only one boat. Right. I was upset that it was only one boat. Yes, brother.
Now, this is the perfect way to explain something to the audience, right? The woke right is as evil and as bad as the woke left. Who are we talking about the woke right? We're talking about Rand Paul, the scumbag Pauls, Thomas Massey, right? Clowns voted against the big beautiful bill for a reason. Now, the reason that they all claim that we're doing this for the because it's the budget. The budget's too high. Bull crap. right? And so the real reason is because they're in it for the power. So they are materialist on the woke right, just like the woke left are materials. The woke left on materials, AOC and scumbag Bernie and stuff like that, they're all about the money. They're all about this nitwit Cheryl, right? They're all about the money and the Benjamins, right? They're all about the money. Oh, you can't say that, right? They're all about the money and materialism. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in spirit. They don't believe in soul, mind, and all the rest of it. They believe in the materialistic scumbag religion of Marxism, which says that there is no God and that and everything is materialism. Bodies are materials. We can do everything we want. We can create this utopia. We don't need God, right? Same thing on the woke right, and people don't understand this. The woke right believe in Ayn Rand and objectivism. Well, what's objectivism? Well, it says the name. We believe in objective truth. They believe in subjective truth. We believe in objective truth. No, they don't. Believe in objectivism and Rand bullcrap, Atlas. And that says is, there's the truth if we get people together and we know the truth from that. Not just subjectivism of the left. Now they believe in multiple relativism and subjectivism on the left, and they're saying it's moralism. Same thing on the right. Same thing with Ayn Rand and these idiots, because they get together 100 idiots and they say, this is the truth, and it's not the truth. It's not the divine truth. It's not the truth beyond mankind. It's not God's truth that's down in the Bible. And this is the thing that VDJ, love him to death, but he's not the woke right. But the idiots on the woke right, the Luciferians, do not get. They believe in the same nonsense, the moral relativism of the left, and it's proof positive in this week with Rand Paul. Why? Well, because they believe this arrogance thing that they should be telling people what to do. So they vote. So Thomas Massey, that jerk. Now both him and Rand Paul both have permed hair, and there's a reason for that, because both of them are those guys wearing a dress, right? And that's the basis. They're mad that you can't be dress wearers or gay, right? That's why they reject the truth of the Bible. The truth of the Bible is the truth of God's truth, and it's beyond man. It's just the truth. That's the difference between the real right and a real America and MAGA, right? We're for the truth, and the truth that is inconvenient. It's inconvenient truth. So Paul and Thomas Massey, I know you wanted to wear a dress, but it's wrong. Stop wearing dresses. But they can't stop themselves from that, and so that's what they mean by freedom on the left. They want to do anything. That's why they're really pro-abortion. They're really been pro-baby murdering, right? Because it's freedom. That's why they say they're against the military because we don't want military force. We don't want standing armies. Bull crap. You're just a coward, right? They're saying that they're against the big government. We shouldn't have big government. We shouldn't have any government, right? It's the idea that of the founding fathers, that they went back to this quote natural rights. That was a different time where what they were trying to do is get a section that was away from the autocratical tyrannical kings of England, right? So they created a thing called natural rights. But natural rights, if you look at it, was really God's rights, God's laws, right? And they're against that because they're against any kind of strictures, right? This is the woke right. And so, for example, Thomas Massey voted for, so he's getting his ass whooped down in Kentucky by real, because he's an ass hole. A bunch of Kentuckians are getting together and they're primarying him, spending a fortune down there, and they're hitting him hard with all the dumb crap that he's done. So he gets a call from Trump, and he goes, "Well, killing me down, and I'm not going to vote for the big committee." So Trump said, "Okay, fine. I'll tell them to stop because they work for me, and they'll stop." And he votes for the big beautiful bill. Mr. Principal Tom Massey and good old lollipop liquor, Robert Barnes and company. Mr. Principal voted for the big beautiful bill to get it out of committee. Then months go by. There's the people go back to kicking, hitting him hard with all these, the ads down there, and he goes, "Well, what's that, Trump? I voted for your big beautiful bill." And Trump said, "Well, I didn't say I was going to do it forever," and he votes against it. So Mr. Principal voted for the big beautiful bill before he voted against the big beautiful bill, and they're like, "Oh, Mr. Principal." No, he's just a hack like all the rest of them. He's just in it for himself. Same thing with scumbag Rand Paul, who's apparently owned by the Chinese and communists because he's against tariffs. And so he comes out and he says, now a true member of the borderland people, a true member of MAGA, the vice president, comes out and he sees Trumpy, he's learning from the master. I hope he's learning really well because he's in there with the master, whacking these scum. The reason why Trump's doing it is because number one, he's going to stop the murdering of the American middle class. That's his whole goal. That's why he's closing the borders. He loves Hispanic people. They have enough of them as here it is. But the reason why he's doing it is because the existential threat to the American worker, because you have all these illegals that the scum creeps want to have raise their kids as pairs, like my kids, they're doing, and cut their grass. They're too lazy to do it themselves, and they don't want to pay American wages for that. So he's closing the border for that reason, for the existential threat, and that's what the tariffs are for, to bring the jobs back to America, so that the jobs here, that's what they're for. But also, the number one threat is this fentanyl that kills 100,000 Americans every year. So of course, Trump is going to go to war with freaking Venezuela. He has every right to. He's every right to bomb the factory in Mexico with the 200 Chinese scum in it that are making the fentanyl, because 100,000 American kids, middle-class kids, my clients, are killed every year because of this nonsense, right? And every year. So they've killed over 1 million of Americans like that. And the Chinese are doing it on purpose to erode and kill the American people. So he's at war with the people who are at war with the American middle class. That's what Trump is. That's what MAGA is. Yet scumbag Rand Paul comes out and says, that's the worst case of due process ever seen. Hey, dirtbag, you don't give process to enemy soldiers while they're trying to kill you, right? You kill them. What's he going to be doing? Is he going to be stopping? He says, oh, we can't kill the Nazis. Oh, we kill the Japanese. We didn't give them a trial. No, idiot. They're trying to kill us. But the bigger thing is the reason why he jumped on this, the reason why he wants to vice president there, because he exposes himself for the creep that he is. He likes the fact that fentanyl is killing 100,000 Americans. That's the woke week, right? It's a fraud. They believe in the materialism just like the materialism of the left. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in a moral truth beyond a man's truth. Here to it's just inconvenient truth. I know. Listen, the great joke. I won't go into it, but I won't go into it because we don't have. But it's the woke right, which is just as bad. I keep trying to tell people, don't be a losertarian. They are not MAGA. And look, now for 40 years, the woke right steals their money, steals the money of the poor people of America, right? For 40 years, they said, "Oh, we're going to stop this abortion." So let's just look at it. Rand Paul votes against the big beautiful bill because he was to vote against it. Trump barely got the big beautiful bill across. So one of the things he wanted, no taxes on Social Security, no taxes on the waitresses, no taxes on overtime, right? Couldn't get that. And the big thing is wanted to defund Planned Parenthood. He couldn't get all that because that jerk, Rand Paul. Now, if he was really for the middle class and for MAGA, he would have voted for that stuff. He did. And so what did he get? So instead, he got less versions of that. One of them being a year ban on Planned Parenthood. And look what he's done. Look what he's done by getting a year ban. 40 abortionaries have closed. So in 40 years, the Republican Party has taken money, said that they claimed that they were going to stop abortion. And this guy comes in, this guy Trump, and he does it. He gets abortion. He gets Roe versus Wade overturned. He gets Planned Parenthood, the Mexico protocol out. He gets the Planned Parenthood only defunded for 1 year because of that punk Rand Paul and the scumbag losertarians. Again, another proof that they hate America as much as the left. And we got one guy in there. One guy went out. Hopefully, Vance is going the right way. He's showing himself who he is, his true colors. And his true colors apparently are red, white, and blue MAGA. And he looks like the heir apparent just because of this week, just because of that dispute right there. That shows what side he's on. And the reason why, of course, is because he knows that death. He knows the death of drugs. It's hit his community. It's hit his America. And that's our America. Not the spoiled little boy with a silver spoon in his mouth, Rand Paul and the Pauls, okay? And the Iran bullcrap objectivism. You get 100 idiots together and you say that's true. No, that's still not true. It's just 100 idiots. And that's all I got to say about that.
I would like to, in regards to this same topic, I like Glenn Greenwald. I'm not going to play the audio. I just want to show the video because I think that there's I think I have to disagree with this entire stance that you've taken. I think I might have to agree with Rand Paul and Massey,
right.
just
on
this case, because there's video from this attack, which I caught Glenn Greenwald showing on his podcast.
I love Glenn Greenwald. Maybe he can set me right.
I disagree because, John, I can see clearly that the cellophane wrapped packages inside this boat that is going from Venezuela to America clearly has to be potatoes.
Okay.
It cannot be drugs. It cannot be money to be brought in. It must be potatoes because the bulkiness of it, the clearly round shape, giant head-sized things of potatoes. Because can you see it? I don't know if you can see it on the video, but if you can, there seems to be all these packages in the bottom of this boat
of potatoes, right?
Of potatoes.
Right.
And then there it goes.
There it goes. All right.
All those potatoes. What did those potatoes do,
shame.
John?
Right.
What did those potatoes? There is another shot of it.
Now there's no potatoes. Right.
Yeah. Another loop. Clearly, John, there must be a problem here. The Trump administration must be wrong.
But he's got to be a piece for this, right? He's got to be a piece for saving American kids, right?
Exactly.
He's got to be a piece for this, for saving American kids.
And Nick and Thomas Massey should be appalled at their own
evil
fecklessism or whatever you want to call it. Fecklessness.
They're you know what? It's just like all these Republicans said for 40 years against abortion, they were going to stop abortion. Just like all the Republicans said they were going to stop fentanyl, right? And all the Democrats were going to stop fentanyl, and they never do. Why? Pourquoi? Why? I'll tell you why. Because they want the death of the American middle class.
Well, because it's also a fundraising issue, John. It's a fundraising
and they can raise
issue.
more money. If they solve the problem, then they can't raise funds on it anymore.
The abortion is a fundraising issue for both sides.
Well, now, James, I've been a criminal defense attorney now, 20 years, whatever. Just this year, I've had possession with intent to distribute, which is drug deal charge, for two marijuana, one meth, and one crack cocaine. Right? You know what I've never had in 20 years? The fentanyl dealer. Never. Why? Because they're okay. They are okay with the death of American kids, right? They want the death of the American kids, right? And that just goes to show you the aristocrats, this domestic enemy that we have that are running the Democrat Party right now, and that are, they're in the woke right, they hate the American people. Why? Because we did it again for the 20 years doing this, because we're the competition. Right now, Rand Paul in his dress doesn't have to do anything, right? If there's hypocrisy, then anybody can take his spot from him. So you know what? You're a clown.
All kidding aside, John. Because what I said was, I was joking, but all kidding aside, it is killing our children. It is killing our fathers, our mothers. The fentanyl is being brought in. It's being substituted into drugs that people are then using that they think is safe. And these are not drug users. These are people who are getting some kind of medicine that they have no idea what that fentanyl is in it. And so when they take it, they overdose, and they're dead.
They had a baby. Remember we were down in Florida? We had the ARBs, whatever you call them. A baby, going across the carpet, getting a little bit of it, and dying. Right. And they're okay with this. And Rand Paul says, "Oh, it's not due process." When has that clown ever done anything for due process? When has he ever done anything for due process? He's never done anything about due process. Why become a lawyer and go defend cases?
John, I think that there might be something more insidious here. And we have to go because we're 20 minutes over, but I think there's something more insidious because allowing the fentanyl to continue to come into our country, whether through due process or not, is supporting China. It's coming from China.
And he's paid off by the Chinese. He's paid off by the Chinese. I'll end it with this. It's the great thing that G.K. Chesterton has said. It's the problem with not believing in God. Ayn Rand, you moron, objective. Commie, scumbag morons, right? The problem isn't that you don't believe in anything then. It's that you believe in anything then. And that's what's happened. That's why if you're not dedicated to worshiping God, praying to God every morning when you get up, going to your knees and apologizing for everything that happened that day and night. And then you don't have a chance to survive this, right? You don't even have a chance to get through this. But these people have given up that truth, and that's what's going on. That's the nefarious thing going. And we're at war. Great Star Parker said, "War now. It's 1850 all over again. We're either going to be atheist and statist, or biblical and free, and that's the real libertarians, right? Lovers of liberty. So biblical and free. And with that, I'll try to do it again. That's all I got to say about that. I can work on my Tom Hanks. Forrest Gump. Go.
So that's all for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, it's all good.
Because God loves you.
Because God loves you. We'll see you next time.
It won't be long before they feel my spears more than your whips.
Especially qualified to be vice president.